We are everyone. Welcome along. A live session, yeah. Makes a change, doesn't it? Talk to you directly for a while instead of typing it all in as we go. So, first thing up, I need any questions and we'll start. It doesn't have to be plumbing, by the way. Can be anything you like, really. Just have a chat with some of you guys would be nice anyway. Been a long time coming, isn't it? Took me a while to get the courage to come up and do a live show anyway, because it's not easy when you're working off the cuff. So just waiting for something to come through from any of you now. Whatever you've got a question on, give it a shot. Just turn that light. Oh no, it's too dark, isn't it? We need the light on, shall we? How are we doing over there, Jan? Jan's going to monitor any questions that come along. Okay, so
I think I'm doing
Daddy
something
B.
terribly wrong because I can't see you on here at all.
Jan can't see you on her PC, but never mind. Okay, yeah. So Daddy B, good evening to you. Welcome along. Anything for you you'd like to ask? Plumbing or eating wise, of course, or just plain old seagulls, really. Hi, mate. Hey, London. Pleased to meet you and have a little chat while we're at it. It's actually quite nice just looking at the little tags coming up on the right hand side of my screen. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be live for a change. I did get a question earlier from someone, but I seem to have lost it as well. I was trying to get it suited out. You're doing your reassessment this week. Is that in plumbing? I take it, yes. Well, I don't give you the best of luck. I know things have changed a lot, so that's good. PB, let's pick a card and see. Hello. Nice to meet you, PB. For change, see you like this. I get a lot of stuff from you. It's great. That's nice to see you. Hello. What else we got here? London. Yeah, okay. I won't repeat that once. Evening all, yeah. Welcome along. It's nice to have a chat to you all. Shout out my son's name, please. Yeah, London. Big shout out from Devon 33. You notice that it looks the wrong way around, isn't it? Strange, isn't it? How it reverses everything. There we are. You can't hear anything. Yeah. And yeah, Kevin, yep. Marassi, is that right? Have I got that right? Looks like Marassari. Yeah. So, Kevin, anyway, nice to have you on board and along. This is a kind of a new experience. This is like being on the TV, but a bit more personal, isn't it? You get things on like that. So, PB, let's pick a card and see. I mean, what one would you like, mate? I had a plumber on Grays and Council. His name was PB, would you believe? Yeah, good friend. Peter Brooks, his name was. Nice guy, but we always called him PB. Right, okay, so what have we got? Even now, yeah, glad to see you, yeah. Barry, well done. Thanks for popping along. Nice to have a little wee chat and see who's on board. PB, that's it. Hey, that's my channel name. PB, yeah, I did have a look. Yeah, I know it's your channel name. But yeah, it's just strange that it happened to be an old plumbing colleague of mine from way back whose name was PB. But I knew it couldn't be him. He would never be able to run anything with a computer. What else we got? So, John Manchester, yeah, evening to you guys. Nice to have you along. All good stuff. LS, all right, okay. How to keep home warm? Yeah, well, you probably don't need much explaining for this one, really. Insulation is the key, isn't it? Keep your home warm. And also, lots of things you can do to keep that heat there. I know it's horrible to draw curtains, but that really does keep heat in. You definitely want to have that roof really that loft lagged out good and properly, and make sure that you've got no drafty windows and things like this. You've really got to look at where you might think that most of your cold air is coming through from. And, you can get lots of good tips and things for insulation. And you don't probably need me to tell you, but basically keep that home comfy and warm with as much insulation as you can. So, with that one, we'll move on, shall we? Which boilers do I recommend? Well, yeah, got to be the Bosch really. That's the number one boiler I recommend. I've got the Ideal Mini, but mainly because I didn't have a lot of room in my cupboard to fit it. It's very tight for room, and the Bosch wouldn't have fitted. But believe me, if I could have got the Bosch in there, I would have fitted it in there. But it was just not enough room to get it in. So, but saying that, the Ideal has been, touch wood, and there's some wood now at the table, has been pretty good, very reliable, and I've no complaints with it. So I only can say it's good. Okay, PB, let's see what you got there. Valiant Combi Boiler. Ideal setting, Valiant. Well, this is one of those things where you say all boilers have got an ideal setting somewhere or another that's quite close to their particular make and setting. I mean, 60 degrees is the ideal setting for most boilers, and each boiler's probably got its own close range to that you'd go for, but that is normally the set, so you can get that return temperature at the right heat to get maximum from that boiler. So that is one of those. I would say 60 degrees, more or less for every boiler. What else we got there? Boilers for recommended reliability has got to be the Bosch, and I've still only got one dial on my boiler, so still don't know how to turn it down. And yes, it's a Bosch. Well, that is unusual. Sounds like you may have a bit of a problem there. One dial on my boiler, so you don't know how to turn it down. Well, basically, if you turn it down and it's running and it goes off, you know you're going for a lower setting. If you turn it up and it comes on, you know you're going for a higher setting. So switch the heating on, switch the thermostat to make sure it's up so that the boiler will ignite, and then use that method. And then when you know when it's switching on, that is the higher that you're going to go. So it could come on at 60 there and keep going, and that's going to be maximum flat out. When it goes off, it's going to be dropped below that temperature. It's going to be tough to get it regulated dead right, but have a look at your Bosch booklet. It'll be in there for the proper setting for that particular boiler. There are a few different Bosch models that will need their own setting. So do have a look at your booklet that you've got with the boiler. Okay, so let me have a look. What else we got? Evening, Al and Jane. Chris, yeah, pleased to meet you at last. Not in person, I know, but on here at least. That's something I know you're always putting good stuff on there and sorting things out for me sometimes when I get it wrong. And yeah, Jan Wall, Chris, where's that? Yeah, have I missed you?
No, I just said hello.
Oh, she said hello. Evening. Oh, right. Okay. But you're only sitting over there. Right. Okay. It's mains flushing good enough if done yearly to keep the system clean? Yes and no. I would say I would still add inhibitor fresh, even if it was every year, simply because you would be surprised how much it will start to crud in a year without any inhibitor in there. I wouldn't recommend it. It is okay. It will keep it flushed, but I would recommend putting inhibitor in after you've flushed it. If you want to, it's still better to probably put some flushing agent in there. But yearly, you probably get away with just clean water, yeah. So yeah, you could do that, but do flush it out and then add fresh inhibitor when you finish. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, KK. No problem. As I always say, every video, I try to answer every question I can when it comes up on my channel, just to make it more of a personal approach. It's one of those things. It's more like knowing your next door neighbour nicely, and you kind of treat each other nicely. And when it's more personal, small, like we are, we're not no business. We've got no body supporting us. It's just me and Jan, and just doing our best to use what I've got up here, plumbing wise, to help you along with what I know. And Jan, obviously, with the cooking and other stuff. So that's all we're about, really. Just helping us save money. That's all it's ever been about. So you can do it yourself rather than have to call someone in all the time. So what else we got here? Right, let's have a little look. I have a porch at the front and back of the house. that doesn't need the radiator on? Is it better to turn it off completely and the lock shield valve will just turn down to zero? I would just turn it down to zero. You don't need to turn the lock shield off. That's a permanent operation if you turn the lock shield off. As long as the thing's on zero, it won't go. But you might find sometimes it's got that pulse. You might just want to be able to a small amount of heat. Just set the thermostat low so that if the temperature really dropped low, it'll put a little bit of heat in there. And then you won't get that cold air trying to get into the house from there if it's slightly warm in the porch. And it will help matters a bit. But have it right set low. But don't turn the lock shield off because that means the thermostat valve won't operate at all, and it doesn't matter where you turn it, you won't get any heat. Okay. So, which pump do you think is best value for money? I know some are expensive. I know. Obviously, I'm going to say the Grundfos. They're tried and tested. I know they're very, very expensive these days. You can get a cheaper model, the one that hasn't got all the bells and whistles and all that, and they still rate it as the best, really. I've done a video where I tried a different type of pump. There are quite a few around that are look-alike Grundfosses, but are not the same. If you want one to last a long time, they're the one I would always go for. Best save your money now, but get a better one that's going to last longer than a cheap one that's going to burn out maybe in a couple of years' time, and you'll be replacing it anyway. So that's my advice on that one. I know they're expensive pumps, but you get what you pay for, I've always been told. Okay, what we got here now? Jan watching Strictly in the background. She could be. She might be at that. I'm pretty boring. She sort of got fed up with me. She might know it. Yeah, probably has got it running. Anything to, alleviate the boredom of me chatting. So yeah, probably she's got it on right now. Going on to the insulation thing. The other thing that's really on people's minds at the moment is if you've got roof tanks and loft tanks up in the attic, and just really to make sure you've got every single pipe up there lagged as thick as you can, and everything around those tanks you can thick as possible. Remember, the loft will get ice cold when that temperature drops, and that lagging will only hold it in for a while. So another thing to watch if you go away is that to leave the heating to come on just maybe once a day or in the evening, just to keep the pipes warm, just to keep that loft up there, get a little bit of residue heat. Otherwise it'll freeze up. The lagging can work in the opposite way and actually hold the cold in. If the temperature drops way down and your loft is freezing for a long time, eventually the pipes will freeze, no matter how much lagging they got around them. Because it acts in reverse. It actually then holds the cold in instead of looking the heat in. So something to bear in mind when it comes to lagging pipes. Okay, that was to carry on with the theme of insulation in your home. Yeah, what else we email? Do you have a recommendation for a single tap boost pump? No, again, these boost pumps, there's a lot of them out there, and I haven't got a single recommendation for any particular one because I haven't had to fit any of late. I can only go by friends what they've got, and they still are working, but I wouldn't say any of them are much better than any other. Just go for a recommended one is what I can best say to you on reviews. So if you're buying one on Amazon, say, look at all reviews that people say about it, whether they recommend it, or a family member may have one, or someone and you can ask them and say, how's that getting on? Is that pump any good? And there's nothing like someone to say, yeah, it's good, it's really worked on that tap, or no, don't bother, it broke, in a week. And it's always top recommendation, family and friends. So you can find someone who's got one and they will probably help you out. If not, check the Amazon and see what they say on there regards buying a particular one. All right. So what else we got there? Let's see. Yes, KK. Yes, I can see Jan there. Any more sewing, or maybe using an air fryer because I've just bought one and don't use it. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay, well, yeah, I think you will be down.
I think I will be, definitely.
Yeah, she's going to be doing some more. Don't worry, we just had a little layoff for a little while, and things will be returned to normal now that winter's coming on, and we will get back to doing some cooking and stuff. So no worries. Don't worry, they'll get something back up from Jan very shortly. Okay. Right. Okay. Ronnie, I have no filter fitted to my heating system. What, if any, would you recommend me fitting? Well, if you're talking about a combi, you get these limescale cartridges like this that go on the cold main, and they go on the inlet to the combi boiler if this is what you got. Some people have them on their cold mains to help alleviate some chalk and limescale going in the F&E systems. And, they've never really been proven to work definitely that they do, but we tend to fit them anyway, just in case. So other than that, filter wise, they're kind of the best thing unless you've got a full filtration system put in down on the mains with salts and crystals, the kind of thing, a big installation to soften the water up. That's kind of a water softener idea if you live in hard waters. But yeah, they're the cheapest options and the only kind of thing I can recommend. Cheers. Yeah, that's okay, mate. Barry, is there a flexi hose with a bigger bore size because the pressure on hot tap is poor? They do come bigger. You can get a 15 mil one that goes in, rather than those tiny little 10 mil, 12 mil things, which really restrict the pressure. They do bomb the pressure down on the tap. Now, some taps are basically designed to work off of combis or high pressure systems because the hot is also the same bore as the cold, which is really small. But if you've got an F&E system, you're going to find the weight of water, gravity from that roof tank coming down on that tap is not enough to get any pressure out of that tap. So therefore, it's best to look for what I call low pressure taps. And you'd know these low pressure mixers because they do use a good 15 mil bore inlet. Now, some of those use 15 mil straight copper pipes up and into the tap. That was the older ones, but the newer ones are flexi right the way up. The idea is not to restrict that pressure at all going out of the tap by restricting the bore right down. It means the flow rate, which is basically what we're talking about here, will be very slow. So we want to keep that as good as we can. So I don't think you can actually change the hoses to a bigger one on taps, getting back to your question. And even if you could, you'd have to reduce it at the tap end to fit it, which would bring you right back to page one. You've reduced the inlet size, therefore the flow rate is going to slow right down. So my advice is obviously a pump on the tap again, which we've had just earlier, but it does mean, pumps and stuff is awkward. Or really check out low pressure taps and see what you can come up with. That's when the old fashioned taps that came up that weren't mixers in your sink, they were full bore, the tap washer, half-inch inlet all the way in, 15 mil, and it just came out the full bore and you never got any problems. Anyway, I better push on. We're getting past it now. So let's, right, okay, where are we? And, okay, KK, thanks. Yep, that's no problem. Daddy B, tips to free a sticky diverter valve. Is there any lubricant you can suggest? No. In a word, no. The motorized valve, obviously the motor on top, pulls that. You pull that lever across and you can see the little motor inside turn. I've just done a video on it actually. And when that sticks down there, it's not a case of putting lubricant on it. It won't get inside where the water is anyway. So basically, you can't put water on the inside of the motorized valve body because it's in water. It won't do any good. It's no good spraying anything lubricant-wise on the top of that by taking the valve head off and spraying it. And by the way, if it's an old model with 4 bolts holding the head on, don't take it off because they're live under there. Only use the 2-bolt ones that I showed you on the last video to do with motorized valves if you want to take the head off. Excuse me now. So that's just something to bear in mind, but no, I'm afraid in reply you can't grease them up. Once they go like that, if you find you're burning a lot of heads out on the motorized valve over time, and they're going very, very quickly, then it does mean that possibly the body part of the valve that it sits on is ground, is worn out. It could have been playing on a load of crud or anything, and will actually burn your new motor out very quickly. You might think, well, that didn't last very long, but it isn't the motor's fault. It's the fact that inside the valve, you just changed the head and left the body. I have got a video I could redo actually on replacing the whole valve. It's a little bit more tricky, but I'll get to that one for you. Okay, Jan's brought me a glass of water. Gets very thirsty. Well,
You're wanting a beer in a minute.
I'll be wanting a beer in a second again. Okay. Okay, RO63 RTO. What do I need to do to start using 2 rads in my sun lounge after more than 10 years of being closed off at the valve? Well, if they've been shut off all that time, obviously turn them on. They could be silted up. Check them for air, first of all. They may well have air in them. They're probably silted. I would think that even the channels could be blocked. But what I would try is turn them on, put the system on, and see if you can shut all the other radiators off in the house and just leave those 2 on. Okay, so if they've been off that long, you may just find there's enough oomph in the pump just on those 2 rads to push anything through and get it moving. It's worth a try because that's not going to cost you any time or money. Failing that, if they don't go, it may need also that they're silted up inside, in which case I've got to be on taking them off the wall, taking them outside and flushing them out, which after 10 years, probably the best bet, but it's worth a try trying the other thing. But usually after that amount of time, I would definitely take them off and get them outside, get the hose on them inside of it, turn your outside tap on and just blast it through, and then turn it around the other way and blast it through again, and keep going until all the muck comes out and it runs clear. All right, then put them back on. Then you're off to a fine start, I think. So that's what I would preferably do. But if you feel like cheating, try the first option. Okay, Chris, your thoughts on solar lighting and the winter? I have a garage away from the house that needs lighting. Yeah, solar lighting. Now, some of it is very good. We've found, because I've had loads of lights sent to me by different manufacturers over the years to try out. We've got a few that are still going really, really well, and they're quite bright enough to see. And the other ones, the cheap, tiny ones, just give a tiny bit of light. And they're very nice indoors as a little decoration or something, and they're okay. But a proper one, you get a really good light from. Now, by that I mean one that has at least a sort of 6 to 8 inch solar panel, and then it feeds the light. Now, the good thing is you could actually get that to any position. So let's say if the sun was there, you could put the solar panel so it gets maximum sun, run the wire into the light, and then it's going to have the great sunshine all day, the best you can get anyway, and then it'll charge that battery enough to give you a good long spell of light. So, but do remember, in the winter time, the sun is a bit thin on the ground, and obviously you're not going to get the length of time that you would like to get from it. So it's something else. In the summertime, they'll run all night. But yeah, in the answer to that, it's one of those things where it's good and it's bad. I would still have just a battery light on hand in case the solar one gave out, depending on how long you was in the garage for. So it's worth a go in my book. I think they're worth a try. They've really come on solar lighting now to what it was when they first come out. So hope that answers that one. Okay, so all right, Wendy, thanks for your video. Well, thanks very much. No problem. I actually enjoy doing them because I can feel like I'm actually training you all, if you like, to get your DIY skills up to where they should be. Because I realise that we're a lost generation, and kind of a lot of you have not had any DIY knowledge, and it's because of this that I feel like I need to get these videos out and show you how simple it is, really. I'm sure a lot of you know, probably your old dad used to do it all for you, I'm guessing. And you wish you looked at more probably what things he was doing. But, hopefully I can try and get that back to you in a normal way, like as if I was your dad in a sense, here's how you do it, son. It's dead easy, but that kind of thing. So that's why I like to keep it as just a small little thing. I get kind of lots of offers to, take this channel over and be, boosted with this company or that to take me on, but I refuse them all because I like to keep just personal, like we are. Okay, what else we got there? Right, let's see. Thanks for the tips. I'll try that. Yeah, okay. And Fire Blaster, yo, yeah, yo, righto. One Joe, it's very much appreciated. It's no problem indeed. I say I love doing them, and it's kind of like my part-time job, I should say, really. But at least because I am retired, I'm not working. I've got time to do them. Anybody that is a working plumber and trying to do these videos as well must find it really hard to get them all done and in. So, my appreciation goes to all those other guys out there, plumbers and builders that are still working and doing the videos. They're doing a grand job as well. Okay, so what we got here? Yep, much appreciated. Great, that's it. Star Bright, good evening. I've learned too much from you. Well, that's great to know. That's really, it means I'm getting it right, hopefully getting it right. Now, if I get the odd things sometimes wrong, I know that most of you will come down on me anyway and say, oh, actually, I don't think that's quite right, Al. And that's okay, because we can't get everything dead right, can we? So I do appreciate when PB comes up and says, Al, because he's a plumber, you see. I don't think that, right, yep, got that, thank PB. I slipped a bit there, But in the main, hopefully we do get it. I try to get the sort of jobs that you find at home that are the real naughty little jobs that you don't want to call someone in for because it's something and nothing, but you feel you can't touch it because you haven't got the confidence to do it. And if only you could just get someone to do it, but you can't. So I'm hoping that my videos will kind of give you that extra kind of confidence to have a go. And if you do get any problems, I always will try to sort them out, either via my website, on the my email, or on here, So I'll always be around to try and sort something out for you. Okay, okay, right. What we got here now? Starbright, yeah, it was you, yeah. Barry, yeah. Have you sorted the seagull saga yet? I knew they'd come up sometime or another. I knew you would. Yes. Well, no. In a sense, I haven't. No. What happened at the end of this season? Because they're all gone now. September they fly away somewhere south, and you don't get any problems from now till next March. So it's lovely and quiet and peaceful here now. But say after March they'll be back. But in the end, I couldn't get rid of them. No, but one specific seagull, it kind of befriended us. Now a few years ago we had seagulls nesting up there, and one of them slid down our solar panel and landed on the decking. And because it was a baby, I felt sorry for it, and I put it back on the roof, and it went back to its mum. And I got a feeling, my own undoing. I think this seagull is now coming back to see us every year because he comes back on his own, and he sits on our roof, and actually he started to do a good thing, really good thing for us this time, because he see off all the other seagulls on the other roof. He didn't want them landing on my roof because he wanted to come into the garden and just waddle around. And I decided then not to scare him off, but to let him waddle around, because he seemed quite happy to see us. And the dog doesn't even chase him now. Mo's just got so used to him that he just kind of waddles about and plods around. But I actually think now he's doing us a good turn because he's keeping the mating seagulls off of our roof. So things might be sorted, but I'll keep you updated on it when March comes around. We'll see how we go on. I've tried every single thing you can think of, as you know. So seagulls, yeah, more next March. Right, what else we've got? Right, yeah, yes. Big thumbs up to you, sir. Take satisfaction in being one of the real good guys. Absolute legend. Thank you, Lucas. That's very kind indeed. Thanks, sir. And Phoebe, evening owl. Sorry, I get itchy sometimes. Yes, Barry, yeah, you made a good pellet gun. Now, you won't believe the amount of times I've been told how good a pellet gun is when you see gold. But honestly, you can't. They're protected species. You really can't do anything, can you? I would like to hurt them anyway, to be honest. No, I know, I've got to leave them right. Let's get on to some. Let's change the subject. Right. Really hard, okay, Starbright, really hard to find honest plumbers. They try to rip you off. I have to save money just watching your video. I have saved money just watching your video. Thank you for that. That is really kind of you. Now, on this subject of plumbers ripping off, they're not all the same. Believe me, there are some really good plumbers out there. Now, how do you know there are some good, honest plumbers out there, apart from me? No, what you need to do, if you ever need a plumber, the job is too big and you don't fancy taking it on. Excuse me. What you need to do to get the right plumber, you don't look in yellow pages or you don't look in any papers with adverts on the back saying plumbers this or that. You don't do any of that. What you do, and you don't use those ones online either, okay? What you do is you ask your friends and your family who they've used in the past. And if one of them is bound to say, oh, I used Joe Bloggs from around the corner, really good, didn't sting me, done a job. And they're usually the best guys. These guys that have got their own van, a plumbing van, and they're working on their own. And yes, they may be a little bit dearer, but they'll be fairer. They're on their own, trying to make a living, and it's in their, good sense to make sure that you're happy. They want to make sure you get a good job. They don't want any complaints because it's easy to bring someone down by just writing a bad review. So they'll do all they can in their power to make sure the job is done well and to your satisfaction. So I always say, if you want to get a good plumber because you actually need one, don't look in any newspapers or any of these things on site. Just find one that your friends or family have used and use them if they've had a good review.
So aren't I lucky?
Maybe. Right, okay, where are we going? Yeah, okay. Looks like cool UK boy, I would say, yeah. Even now, just want to tell you, you saved me easy around £1,000 plus with your guys. Thank you so much. Well, that's probably way too much, really. Yeah, maybe. But anything to give you some money back in the bank, especially with this austerity coming up now with the bills, we're going to be paying a lot more for our energy. Everybody's got to rein it in a bit now. And if I can save you some money now, maybe my site and my YouTube channel is even more important than it was before. Because the last thing you're going to want to be doing is if your boiler breaks down or whatever, you got no heating or something, and you've got to call the plumber in because they've got to charge a bit more anyway because they need to make a bit more money to pay for their higher electricity bill that's coming up. It's a bit of a, on it goes. So, yeah, no problem. But, anything to try and help you guys out, make life a bit simpler, right? So let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. I'll never get the video when you and Jan changed the pipes under the sink for washing machine waste out there and pulled out a dead mount. People, you're full of them, mate. That is a good one. Yeah, that was quite clever. Pulled out a dead mount. Chris Sydenham, right? Okay, proper job. Thanks. Barry L. Tradesmen recommendations every time. Absolutely. Make sure you've got someone who's definitely got his cards, and especially if he's doing your boiler or anything, got to be gas registered safe. All right, before we get anyone in to look at your boiler, make sure that is critical. Okay. Right, Starboy. Anyone knows good plumber in Bristol area? Well, anybody that lives over there, maybe they'll get on to let you know. Okay, Starbright, because I don't know any from here because I'm down in Devon. Yeah, lovely little town, Dawlish in Devon. We've got a great railway line now. We didn't a little while back. I'm the one that filmed the railway track, and the big waves here. It was good stuff, that was. Okay, moving on. And Archie Craig, yeah. I have to do job myself to get anything done right. I can't trust tradesmen to do a decent job. Well, that's a shame to hear that, because most tradesmen are trying their best, and it is difficult to please everyone. I know a lot of the time. I've had it even myself. It is very difficult sometimes. So do give them a little bit of space, and but they're not all trying to rip you off, honest. They're probably trying their best just to make a living. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But I do know what you're saying. That's okay. Okay. Hello, Mr. Boiler and others. Fire phone. Okay. Yeah, I take it that's Jan, you mean. Tame machine. Is it possible to fix a shower thermostat cartridge? Yeah, it is. Yeah, but getting the right one is the problem. Depends what model and everything. But if you get a real well recommended model, you got a good one like a Meyer or something, you can get those cartridges. So most parts are available. But if you get a Chinese one from somewhere, no way. Right. Okay. Okay. Steve W. Oh, you've flown up my screen. Let me just pull you back down. Okay, there you are. And nice to see you alive. That's great to be here. It must be 10 years I've been sub to you. Always enjoyed your videos. Well, that's great, Steve. Thanks very much. You're cool, too kind you are. You all are. You're really great fellas out there. That's what I like. We've got a great community, haven't we? And we all get along so well. It's fantastic. Okay, let's move on then. And Kimbo, looks like your message has been retracted, so that's okay. Whatever you said, you changed your mind. Leon Smith, any recommendations for best chemicals to stick down the shower, bath, etc., to free up slow running drains? You know, those chemicals, I'm not really keen on them, to be honest. There's quite a few out there, but I like to actually try and clear the waste without putting any of that stuff down there, to be honest. And to that end, I will always mainly use my pressure gun to try and keep those clear. And Jan's on here now.
Oh, no, because I've got Kimbo's question up.
Oh, you got Kimbo's up?
Being nosy. It's all new to me.
All right. Kimbo, it says his message.
Yeah, that's
but anyway,
fair.
yeah. So, yeah, I've no recommendations on the chemicals. There's lots and lots and lots. I can only say again, ask someone you may know who's done theirs, a friend or family member, and they may be able to recommend which one. And again, also, if you're buying from Amazon, you'll be able to look at what the reviews are on particular ones. It's the best way to go. But because I don't actually use any, I can't give a recommendation on that one, I'm afraid. Okay, so let's push on. I've got Kimbo here now. Okay, you've come up. Just joined to say hi and thanks for all the videos. That's no problem, man. That's great. And what was your worst ever plumbing disaster? Well, I did have one, yeah, really. It was a few years ago, back in the day, where I was working in a block of flats, and I had to take a piece of iron pipe out from an F&E tank in the loft inside an airing cupboard in this flat. This flat was 3 stories up. There's a flat straight down below that and flat below that. And this iron feed went down and fed all 3 hot water cylinders, the inner coils. And the only way you could get this iron pipe out is by twisting them out with a big pair of 18-inch Stilsons. So it had a stopcock just above it, well, gate valve, but which actually worked. Well, that's great. All I've got to do is unscrew the piece of iron pipe. I put the Stilsons on, and it snapped clean off from the gate valve, and the pressure was quite incredible. I actually flooded 3 flats clean out. The top one it was on, the next one down, and the one below that. I had to get to the van to get a ladder to get up in this massive roof space above this block of flats, and to find the rather large F&E tank that it was and get it shut down. But by that time, the damage was done. The fire brigade were called to help pump them out. So it can happen, but it's quite a learning experience of the wrong kind. So there we are. That was my very worst nightmare, if you call it. I've had others, but not anything as bad as that particular one. So not to put any of you off now. No, don't let you put you off. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? Right, okay. And we have Daz, yep, the DAVZ, yep. What would a system have a pressure reducer valve? Why would a system have a pressure reducer valve and a shower pump? Well, a pressure reducing valve obviously does as it says. When it's too high, it kind of slows it down a bit because sometimes you get this really high pressure. You open taps and you open wherever it's on, and not only do you get a bang and a noise, but sometimes it could be more than 3 bar, which is really bad news for systems in general. And that's why sometimes you'll find heaters have got a 3 bar escape valve. Like every combi's got this 3 bar valve inside it you can't see. So if you over pressurized your combi, for instance, the 3 bar valve would blow and put the water outside to save your combi from big problems. Okay, so this is an odd thing, I know, but you'll get a pressure reducing valve bringing it down, and then you may get something else pushing it up, a pump. So this is odd, but those pumps are more than often used on gravity systems where it's fed from a tank in the loft, or it's an F&E system. And like earlier, I was talking about those taps that have got tiny little holes, so the flow is restricted, and you put one on there to give it back. So it's a kind of an F&E problem in that pressure is never enough when you've got restrictions on it. And this goes also for those horrible isolation valves with the screw on it. They also reduce the flow rate and are not recommended by me anymore. Years ago I did, but not anymore. They always leak as soon as you turn them, and that's a different subject altogether. So I hope that's moved on a bit. So that's usually the reason why. Okay. So Dye Master, yeah, Dry Master. Oh, that's a good name. That 9,000. Your video on assistance still running after flushing. Sorted me out after the troublesome toilet we had. Love what you're doing. That's great. That's fantastic. It's all about these silly sort of problems, isn't it? They're the ones that are annoying. You can live with them, but you're wasting water and it irritates the back of your mind. I really ought to get that done, but you just think, yeah, I'll get to it. But they have the problem sorted, and these are the sort of problems I like best to do because these are ones that happen around the home all the time. I really do really big installation jobs, where it's a bathroom suite or the whole thing, because most people don't like to take that kind of job on anyway, and will pass it to a plumber. So I don't think it's worthwhile doing massive big jobs on here because they're not what I'm about really. Although I could do them, but I know most of you wouldn't want to take those sort of things on. Even changing things like a hot water cylinder, the roof tank, I don't do them because they're just a bridge too far for you chaps out there to do. Okay, so I never touch really big items like that. I'll leave that to the others. Okay, what we got next? Right, let me see. Uh, Grizzle Chops. Now that's a name, isn't it? What would you have, copper or plastic, if you had a choice? I'm having a house built. I know copper would be more expensive, but it should last longer. This question about the plastic and the copper. Plastic's been kind of around for quite a while now, and people reckon it's going to have about a 20-year lifespan. Copper's been around about 8 years, and it's still going. So I needn't kind of say too much about the longevity. I think the only thing with a plastic that worries me about plastic, to be honest, is that at the end of the day, with those push fit fittings that go in there, have a little look what actually holds the water back, that actually seals it. And you'll see a round rubber ring. Yep, that's all it is, a round rubber ring. And to me, that rubber ring could spell disaster. On high pressure probably, or on heating, which does get used now. And if it really was running your system really hot, those rubber rings have got to get really hot as well, and they can start to go soft and possibly could leak. But not that I've heard too much about it, but I'm looking on the real long term. So basically, in answer to your question, in the long term, yeah, more expense now. Copper is really expensive, so I don't blame you if you go to plastic. Copper is also harder to install, so it costs you more if you're having someone to fit it because it's a lot more difficult to put in than plastic, which you can just reel off of a hoe, and just thread it through. Plastic, you'll have the job done in half the time, and nowhere near the work amount that's needed as against copper. So it's a case of, yeah, it depends how long you're staying there for. No, you're joking. Plastic's still good, especially for the handyman. It makes life really easy. So generally, I'd say, it's good stuff, but it won't outlast copper, not in the end. Okay, so let's move on. Let's have a look now. We'll move on. I can't work out your JPDGMILAN. Okay, 21. That's quite a number. Hi, Al. Been watching for years. Learned a lot. Thanks for sharing your hard-earned knowledge. Enjoyed the drain unblocked video, especially. Hang on, what's that? It's going on. Let me. Especially. Oh, it's gone. Hang on. I've lost you now. I've got. Especially when you've got the footprints out. You know all about the footprints, don't you? Leave them wherever you go. I tell you, they're one of the best plumber's tools going. Believe me, they are the best. Use them all the time. If you haven't got a pair of those and you want to do any plumbing, don't get the adjustable ones with a thumb. Get the one where you pull out the screw or the bolt and lower it down, put it in. Those thumb ones, the top ratchet bends too much because you can adjust it. So always get the screw. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, fire phone. My combi boiler is dripping water and the pressure is rising. I changed cold water valve, but the pressure is still rising to 2-3 bar. What are your thoughts? Well, this usually, unfortunately, is a lot of times the heat exchanger. There is also a pressure vessel which possibly could be leaking as well, but they're the main two items. If your pressure is rising and you can't sort of stop it, you take it away, take a load off, and then it's back rising. This really is, a problem with the actual boiler. There's not too much you can do. You'll need a plumber with the registration, gas safe registration, to touch it. There are probably videos out there on YouTube, and I did warn about these, where guys are showing how to fix combis and do things on them, but they shouldn't be really, because it kind of entices you to have a go. And I don't like that idea much, because believe me, combis are full of stuff, absolute loaded with gear, and you've really got to know what you're doing with it. Okay, so they're probably the two main things that it will be, I'm pretty certain. But I did come across once where the filler valve was connected, the loop, and the valves were off, but one of them was letting by and just creeping in. So do make sure that filling loop is disconnected from the return on your boiler, just in case it is a filler valve that is just about letting a fraction through. Okay, I did come across that once a long time ago. It nearly beat me. I nearly went for the big one, but that's the first thing you should try now, I think, these days. Make sure that filling loop is off or disconnected one side. Okay, right. Okay, so let's have a look. And if it's dripping water outside, that is definitely an overheat, by the way. Definitely getting too much. So we move on, and that is because the pressure's up too far. That's that relief valve that I was on about earlier, that it starts to let the pressure out to save the boiler. Okay, otherwise it will not do it a lot of good. Right, we're going to move on from there, because we've got a few more in here now. Where are we coming? Well, Starbright, thanks, Al. You're a great teacher. Have a fantastic evening. I will keep watching. Thanks very much. That's great. It's great to have all your comments on here, because it's not like when you see them pop up after the video. This is kind of real life, and it's nice, very nice to have you there. So thank you very much for that. And let's see, Daddy Alpha Cooks. Hi, Al. My new solar light videos coming soon. Okay, well, that's great. Hope you enjoy it. They're great. We like them. Let's say we charge ours up out in the sun, our little ones, and then we drag them indoors, and they make lovely lights. Really good. So not bad at all. I just need a drink now to soften the vocal cords up a bit. Oh. That's better. Right. Okay. Let's move on, and we have Paul Cock. Yeah, I know you're on quite often, Paul. So hello from London, everyone. So that's hello from Paul. I know he's another plumber, I'm pretty certain. A good guy, one of the great ones. Good man. Nice to have you all on board, actually. Really good. So, Fishbait 075 now. I know you've been subscribing a while. I can see your comments on here. Great to have you along. Hi, Al. Love your channel, your content. Originally subbed for a video years ago when you helped me fix a hot bathroom sink tap. Where the tap was hard to turn with a stiff wound up washer. Love your content. Yeah. Once again, that's the kind of things I like to fix. Those small niggly items that are happening in the home all the time. It's a bit like when you own a car and you know something goes wrong small inside and you can do it yourself. But if the engine went, you wouldn't want to do it, would you? You'd give it a garage, possibly bother. But if it's something like a window wiper, you think, oh yeah, I can do those. If someone's got a video on it, oh yeah, I can see how to do it. There we are. And this is kind of like the same for plumbing. But that's why I don't put any really big jobs on, because I wouldn't blame you to get a plumber in to do it. I mean, I could do it, obviously, but you wouldn't want to take it on, believe me. Okay, let's move. And thanks for subbing all that time ago, actually, Fish Bait. That's great of you. So I'll hopefully keep the videos coming for you. Okay, so see a Kronos. Oh, you have no views yet. Oh dear. And you have a dad span shit. Oh dear. I don't like swearing. It's not very nice, is it? Okay, let's move on. And Time Machine, thank you for the earlier reply. I've always disliked doing plumbing, but your fab videos have inspired me to have a go. Cheers from a cold South Yorkshire. That's great. Don't worry, it's not that warm down here in Devon either. But we're not putting heating on. We're not lighting our solid fuel boiler. That's had a lot of mixed comments about that. But we love it. And we're so pleased we ousted the gas fire a good few years back and put that in. It is tremendous. I highly recommend them, really. I know there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and some people love them, some people hate them because they think we're going to burn the ozone layer out using them and things like that. But everybody's got their own views on these things. Okay, so let's move on from there. Right, let's Nexus user. I've got an old Potman Nita heat conventional boiler. The gas valve makes a right old clunk when it comes on or goes off. What might cause this? Don't worry, I'm not going to get it messing it with myself. Yeah, that's a sheer sign the valve is kind of sticking. You get that clunk. It is really annoying. It's just before the thing opens, and it also just before it closes. It is a real annoyance. It is a gas valve to bits really to sort that one. And also, you won't be able to do it as you say. At worst times, I've actually had to change the gas valve to stop that horrible clunking noise. It's a real annoyance, but it does happen with the old conventional gas boilers. Okay, so not a lot you can do yourself, I'm afraid, on that one. Okay, so we'll move on and itchy nose. Right, that's something about it. Right, okay. Paul, 3 stars. Yeah, 3 arrows. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Paul. Infran Butt, I'll get it right in a minute. What do you recommend instead of inline isolation valves? Well, no problem at all. There are full-way valves with a lever on them. Now, they're full-way. They don't restrict the bore of the pipe at all. Okay, they're full-way. That means no restriction. And these things are really reliable. They have a ball inside, it just turns. It only has to go half a turn or half a turn back. I've got a few videos on them. And if you think they look a bit ugly, you can take the handle off, just unbolt it, and then the valve is only about that big. So it doesn't look too bad. You can always put the handle back on when you need to use it. So they're my preferred option over those isolation valves that you normally get. Okay, so we'll move on now. Let's see what we got. Gerard Kelly, thanks for the tips. No problem. Kimbo, where did you learn all your skills? Were you an apprentice once? Yeah, I'm afraid so. My apprentice skills was with Gravesend Council years ago. That's up in Kent. So anybody that's watching from that way, hi everyone. And I started as an apprentice plumber at 15. And it was 1967. I just left school, and he did a 4 or 5 year apprenticeship then. And I come out with not that brilliant of grades really, because I know when you're a kid messing about with scooters and stuff like that, I probably wasn't paying quite enough attention. But I did start to learn pretty quick after that, because you got chucked out on your own after 5 years. you had a mate up till then, a guy that would be teaching you all he knew, but the guy I had wasn't that good. So when he went and I got chucked out on my own, I had to learn very quick, which I did. And because I was working with a good bunch of guys, it was all okay. So there you are. That's my. I know things are very different now if you want to learn plumbing. So try and help any of you all I can trying to learn a bit of plumbing and of going to school. If there's anything you think you need to know that you haven't been told at school, okay, at college. So I'm always around. So okay, let's move on. Okay, right. So Gerard Kelly, yeah, thanks for the tip. No problem. Yeah, Paul, has more bunny than Welsh rabbit. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. You're a good one, Paul. Okay, Daz. I have a combi boiler and my shower hot water goes cold when cold basin tap is on. Happening both ways. When cold shower water is on, it goes hot. When basin cold tap is on, what could be the problem? Well, that cold tap is probably on a T and it's taking the water away from the shower. This is bad plumbing again, even with a combi. Because that cold basin tap is near your shower, basically it takes it away from the shower, makes it go cold. And this is a common problem when you get plumbing that's done in certain naughty ways, that the odd handyman who thinks he's a plumber plums something in and you think, oh, it's working, until you find out you mustn't open that basin tap at the same time. Although saying that, with combi boilers in the shower, it does happen a lot. If you open a cold kitchen tap downstairs, if you've not got a lot of pressure, then it will take it away from the shower upstairs, and you'll find the shower won't really run properly at all. It'll run cold. Okay. In our house, we do have a strict policy of no one opens a tap till the shower's over, right? So you can always install that in your family home. No tap gets open, not while I'm in the shower, right? Okay. So let's move on. Okay. You're lucky actually saying the basin cold tap. Say a lot of people it's the cold tap down the kitchen sink or the hot one. So let's move on. Okay. And it's fish bait. Okay, yeah. Actually, your video on repressing a combi also helped a colleague at work last week as well. So subbing has helped me, more than just me over the years. So I'll get that right in. I'm a terrible reader, aren't
I? It's a bit dark in here, and your hour's nearly up.
Yeah, my hour's getting up, so I'm going to have to go shortly. So you're going to have to finish your questions very shortly because I've got to be going. I have company coming soon, so I'll give you a couple more minutes, and then you can leave your questions here, and I'll get back and answer them anyway. Okay, so I'll give you a couple more minutes, and I've really unfortunately got to go because I've got my daughter coming up for lunch, to see her. So, well, a drink.
You mean I'm cooking? Whoops.
Oops. Oh well. Okay, just a drink then. Anyway, beer waiting for me as well. So okay, let's move on a bit more. Do a few more then. Okay, so Dio Forlan, did you prefer working for yourself or for a company? A bit of both really. I kind of liked it being with a company because you had good fellows to work with, very enjoyable. But also liked working on your own because you made all the decisions and you did what you wanted to, rather than your boss or foreman telling you what you thought you had to do, if you get my meaning. So I missed the company, but I didn't miss the bosses that were not much cop. Okay, let's move on from there. Right, and so let's see. Thanks, Nexus user. Thanks, Al. Okay, Colin Howells. I should imagine plumbing has changed massively since you started plumbing. What has been the biggest change, would you say? Probably the move to electronics in plumbing, and also the plastic piping has probably been one of the biggest changes. And the fact that combi boilers are now account for really 70-80% of houses' systems now. The combi boiler is king. It never was. They were most unreliable, horrible things when they first started out back in the 70s, I can tell you that. So the biggest change, probably, and I embrace it, is things like electronic stats, smart ones like I've got here. I can just tell Google whatever I need the temperature set at and things like that. They're all kind of useful. I quite like it. I embrace new technology, so I'm not one of those ones that runs in the shadow of it. I like to keep abreast of it all the time. So basically, yeah, the biggest changes are the way, especially things like toilet systems. For instance, you buy one and it's got a load of plastic rubbish in there. The valve is cheap, nasty, horrible. The siphon thing, which I've showed you many videos about, when they break and leak and go wrong, because they're so cheap and terrible. And that is probably one of the main things. When you get your parts now, they're not the quality they used to once be. Especially taps. Really make sure you pay a bit of money out on taps. The cheap ones, my God, they're terrible. Those cartridges inside are the worst thing ever, and they're always breaking and leaking, and you won't get the right one. There's just so many out there. All right. So that little grump over with. Shall we move on? Paul got more live chats. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can sort that out. Spanner talks. Yeah, I know it does. There's 3 spanners there. Yeah. Okay. Firefox. Oh, Firefox. That's an old name. Okay. Thank you for your answer. When is it time to replace combi boiler? Mine is Italian, 20 years old. Is electric heat pump better for heating and sanitary weather? What do you think about combi save valve? Okay, we go for the first one then. I would say it's time to replace your combi boiler if you fancy getting a more modern, more economic one. Let's get it right out. That's going to save you money, and you think it's worth paying out. But all the time it's running, keep it running. Don't change it for change's sake. But if it's a real old one and you're worried it's burning a lot of fuel and it's not really, giving you the economy you'd like, then change it. That really is up to you, but don't forget they are a lot of money. Bosch ones, which is where you'll need to go for a really good one, are well over, £1,000. So that's just for the boiler, let alone the fitting of it. So you're probably looking at £3,000 to £4,000. If you fancy doing that, it's going to take you a long time to get that money back, is probably what I'm saying. Keep the old one going, is my tip. Okay. Right, okay. And the other question was electric heat pump. No, not an electric heat pump. No, keep well away from them. What you don't realise is that when they don't make enough heat, you have to have an immersion heater turn on to make up the difference. And they are 3 kilowatts. And believe me, you're going to feel that energy. You're going to feel that on the bill. Believe me, they're not up to spec yet. I wouldn't recommend them. And, they're still not right yet. People think they're going to save a lot of money with them, but you are not. There is a video on those by a skilled trader. If you want to have a look at it, I don't mind giving you his name over. He's a good chap. And he does a video on why they're never really going to work. It's very interesting. And he explains all about this system of trying to get the electric from the ground. Anyway, you'll find out more about it. But anyway, that's just a little tip on. So, okay, we'll move on. Anyway, your audio is a bit low, mister. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. All right, okay. I'll remember to turn that up next time, okay? One last question there was there from Firephone, and that was, what do you think about the combi save valve? Now, what I like about it, I've got it on mine. I bought it just to try it out to see what it was like. I didn't have it sent to me or anything. I just bought it and fitted it. And I have to say, I think it does work because it restricts that flow of water through the boiler, gives the flames time to light up enough to heat that bit of water, which is only a tiny amount then before it reaches your tap. And once it gets to temperature, poof, up it goes. And then when you get to the tap, you haven't had that long dead leg of water. Now, you can do the same thing, yes, by just opening your hot tap slowly. You'll get the same effect because it's going over the burners slowly. So therefore, it's heating that water up and it will register that it's hot and bang, turn on. Whereas when it rushes past, it is using a lot of water and then finally it lifts up because it fills the temperature. So what I would say to you is, if you've got a family, you've got young kids, they're not going to do that. They're not going to run that tap slow. They're going to, whoa, on we go, So unless you remember to do that, it's not going to work for you. I've got a video on that, actually, how to save money with your combi save. With your combi boiler, and that is by running it slowly. I've also got one on fitting the combi save, which is there, which I've got in full details if you want to know how to fit it and where and what it's all about. But I like that because I'm terrible as well. I forget I turn it full on, but it doesn't matter now because the combi save is doing it for me. So let's move on. I think that's all the question from you. Okay, that motor's a bit low. I will sort that for you next time. Because of drops, thank you for your reply. I know copy is going to be much more expensive, but I intend to end my days here. Copper pipe it is in. Absolutely no competition. Kimbo, have a good evening, mate. Thanks very much. And I'll be going as soon as you know. Fish bait. Hello, Jan. She's in there somewhere. Or behind me she was. I think she's getting a beer ready. Okay. For our family when they turn up. Okay, I think the missus called Jan. Yeah, she is. Okay. Leon Smith, many thanks for help and videos. Much appreciated. And PB, let's pick a card and see. Thank you so much, Al, Jan, for your time and talents. And Jan is just crashing around. Is that the lid on the beer? Oh, that was the lid on the beer. I really got to go. Okay, last few questions. Yuri, any tips for life happiness and finding a good life partner? You always seem happy and content with life. Any secrets? Also, 5 most important tools on any job. That's a big question. It could take a long time. Well, you need to find someone like Jan. That's a big help.
That's the right answer, and then that keeps me happy. Then he's happy.
There we are.
I've got a beer.
And a beer. Well, there we are. Simple, isn't it? No, you just got to look for the simple things in life. Don't get too much. Get a good partner, wherever he or she is, and it really makes life great. And basically, give and take, live and let live, and really take things easy and let the problems roll over, let them go, and enjoy life because you only live once, don't you?
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment, as Jan says, right now, like we are, just right now. Live this moment. So, and what else you say there? 5 most important tools. Footprints, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good screwdriver set. Number 2, a great hammer.
Company's arrived.
Companies, yeah, I've got to go. Good set of spanners, open-ended adjustables, and basically after that, please yourself. I like a good junior axe or pipe cutters. They're really good too. Make sure you get a good one. Okay, that's about it for me, I'm afraid. Hi, fish bait to Jan. She's just gone. Skill builder, not skill trader. Yeah, could be skill trader. Probably got it wrong. Yeah, probably right. I usually mess up sometimes. Don't worry about it. Yeah, try it. Probably, regarding what I said about, do check him out. Yeah, it's skill trader. Okay, good man is. And Andy T, get off the beer. Good call. That's about it then. So I'm going to go. So good evening, everyone. Have a good evening. And I'll answer any questions I missed on the stream. And maybe we can make this again next week. I will let you know. Okay, enjoyed it though. Thanks very much and good evening to you all and good night.